everybody. Welcome to Chat Room with Mex. I'm Dan, aka Men Need to Be Heard. I am one of your guests today. And today we're going to be talking about false allegations and the devastating effects that they have on men, children, and women. So let me throw it over to our hosts. Come on in.
Well, you're the host, Justin.
And they're all gone.
Ladies and gentlemen. Welcome
to Chat Room.
Welcome to Chat Room with Max. It's beautiful to have you in today. Samsoft, how have you been?
I'm doing good.
Yeah. So it's been a wonderful week, and I'm sure you guys were surprised that we had Dan doing the intro.
Who is this white guy all the
Right, exactly.
I know. They'll be like, who's this? Did Samsoft or Max change?
Right? But it's good. Difference is good sometimes. You know?
Yeah.
But we're both still bald, and that's the most important thing.
Oh, yeah.
There
That's
you go.
true.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I guess it's your twin brother.
There we go. It's my brother from another mother. That's what we like to say.
Yeah. Are you not hot?
Don't go there.
Are you not hot?
No, I'm good. I'm good. We do it like this.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining. I want to advise, let's begin first of all by advising. I want to advise you to watch the show. If you're watching this after the live, watch the show for at least 20 minutes so you can see and understand what we're talking about. And trust me, you're going to want to watch all the way. Okay. So let's get the ball rolling. First of all, we want to thank you for joining us. Thank you very, very much for joining us. Don't forget to like, comment, share, do everything that we always ask you to do, because hey, there's love in sharing. We're bringing in this content free of charge.
Correct.
We're charging you or any of that. Okay. So don't forget to like where you're watching this from.
Yes.
Do not forget to subscribe to this channel.
Yes.
Don't forget to hit the notification tab so you know just when we're on. And lastly, don't forget to
Sure. There's love in sharing. Sharing is caring. Caring is giving. Giving is kind. Coming from your boy, Samsoft. Yes, indeed.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well done.
I know.
Dan.
Yeah.
Dan is like, what's going on?
I need to tape that so you can put it on my podcast.
Yeah, see, there you go. Endorsement. You just got endorsed.
Exactly. You got an ambassador.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Co-host.
So I believe, ladies and gentlemen, I believe you don't need any introduction to who Dan is. You guys already met Dan. If you're a good follower of our show, you've met Dan already. Dan is our wonderful brother from another mother who has been on this show before, broke the table, shattered the table.
Yes.
And people were like, Mex, why is it that you brought this guy to come create this havoc on the show? And I was like, come on, sometimes men need to be heard too.
Yes, sir.
And Dan has a show that he does, a podcast, a talk show, and it's Men Needs to Be Heard. On Twitter, Men Need to, the number 2, be heard. And it's very, very beautiful. I think you should join in one of these days. You should join in. And we also want to say this, right? Please let's know where you're watching from. Just tell us your name and where you're watching from, and we would actually recognize you. Thank you very much. Without further ado, I want to introduce our wonderful brother who needs no introduction to.
Correct.
Yes. But before I do that, let me take this comment from Live with Ihioma. Ihioma is in the house, everybody. She says, hello. Ihioma is a great chef that cooks very well. We're actually going to have her on the show.
Oh, wow.
We're going to have a special.
I like it when there's food. Food is good. And if she can cook, oh, yeah. Definitely go for that special.
Okay.
Continue with the special.
Okay.
I like to hear it.
Okay. We're going to have a special episode, right? Where we're going to be in Ihioma's kitchen. She's going to be cooking. We're going to be talking. And we're going to be eating and testing the food. Ihioma, are you listening to this? If you're down with that, just let us know.
Exactly.
Am I getting invited too?
Yeah, Dan. Of course. You're going to... What? You're going to fly over to Massachusetts for that, Dan.
That's
Don't
right.
worry. You will fly
down here.
So
I'll go into the frozen tundra of Massachusetts for free food.
I know, right? So, yes. Audience, are you ready to welcome our wonderful brother who needs no introduction, who has been with us through thick and thin, through slim and
You're
huge.
fat.
No, you don't say fat anymore. Fat is condescending. Just say huge.
He's fat.
Unless it's PHAT, then it's a good thing.
Thank you. PHA with your own
What,
PHAT.
what about the other one? There's another fat too.
Go away,
You're
Sam.
gonna get in trouble.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the one, the only Stanley.
Hello.
The Atlanta man.
Good to see you. It's good to be in the house. How you
Welcome,
doing?
welcome.
Welcome.
How you
The
doing?
man from
Thumbs up,
Atlanta.
and
The man
good
from
to see you,
Atlanta.
Dan. The brother from another mother hanging with his brothers.
That's right. That's right.
Oh yeah. Thank you very much, Stanley. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. We missed you 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Actually, you know.
I
Yes.
missed you guys too. I missed you guys.
It's
a
good
lot.
to have you back,
Yes.
brother.
Very, very good to have you back, Stanley. Welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, this particular lady, I would have said, needs no introduction, but it's been long
It's
since
been-
we
it
had
don't-
her. Almost 2
It
years.
after
Almost 2 years ago.
long
Since we
time
had her
ago.
on the show. You know, it's a place, it's very, very good to have her back on
Oh
the show.
yes.
We intentionally brought her back to this show so she can
Be uncomfortable.
no. So she can match Dan, because a lot of people have been like, Minister Max, why is it that you guys show we don't have women representing
right.
us? We need a woman on that show to represent us. And I was like,
Okay.
Samsung, what do you think?
Then we said, okay, let's bring this lady.
Yes.
We remember her
Yes.
because she you just
She's
wait for her.
great.
Wait for her.
Just wait. You're
Just
gonna
wait. You're gonna hear
everything she
She-
has
she-
to say.
This two combination is
I'm
a
sure.
combination combined.
Okay, let me give you guys something very little, right? While we were backstage before we came on live, we were talking about the topic, and I could hear Dan beginning to cave a little. but Dan was like, "No, the show hasn't even started yet."
Yeah.
So yes, ladies and gentlemen, let's make welcome the one, the only, Toyi.
Texas in the building. Texas in the building.
Yep. Welcome to the show, Toyi. Welcome to the show, Toyi.
Thank you for
It's
having me.
nice to have you back on the show.
Powerful.
After
Very
2
powerful
years.
woman.
Very powerful,
Yeah.
knowledgeable.
Oh
You
yeah.
should see how it's great. You know, welcome to the show, Toyi. It's nice to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So let's take a few more comments before we dive in. Iyoma says, I'm interested. I'm listening and equal to the task.
Okay.
Thanks, Minister Max. Yes, definitely.
Good one.
We'll definitely talk. And we have Godwin Edache in the house. It says Godwin Edache
Yeah,
watching all
Godwin,
the
how
way
you
from
doing?
Nigeria. Welcome to the
Nigeria
show,
in the
Godwin.
building.
Welcome. Please, ladies and gentlemen, let's know where you're watching from so we can say hi to you. Okay. In the meantime, we want to introduce the topic. Okay. We want to introduce the topic. The topic for today's show is false allegations and the devastating effects of divorce on men. Today we're talking about men. Because a lot of people already started calling me up and was like, Minister Max, why is it just men? Why isn't it women and children? Why didn't you bring in women and children? And we're like, we want to take our time and break things up so we can, talk about things in detail. Because if we begin to jumble everything together, there will be no time to break everything up or break everything down. So yes, that will be the topic for today. Who's ready to jump in? We have a lot of viewers joining in right now. Thank you very much for joining in. Please don't forget to share. Post this on your WhatsApp group and share it to every contact you have on WhatsApp, telling your people to join, because everybody needs to join in and learn what we're going to learn today. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Welcome. Samsung, sir.
Yes.
Now we're going to begin, right? Okay, we have
We are
Uzovik. Uzovik says, hello, my people. Good to see you all.
Oh, good to see you, sir.
Yes, welcome to the show, Uza. Welcome. So, let's first of all break things down before we
Jump in.
before we jump into the topic mainly. So let's begin with men and marriage. Let's begin with men and marriage. Let's talk about that first of all. Dan, I want to start with you. Can you just tell us, help us understand what causes what a relationship that would end up in divorce is all about, and why are men on the wrong side of the law when it comes to divorce? Before you do that, I have a special guest who I will be bringing in on the show after Dan goes. So Dan, go ahead.
All right. So in general, you're asking me why do divorces happen?
Yes. Why do divorces happen?
The most common reason that I would throw out is lack of communication. And both sides, by the way. So it's the issue that I see a lot of times, especially with the guys that I work with. And, when we delve into what is happening with them, if they're going through a divorce or maybe they're on the verge of one, what I really find almost universally is that there's a lack of communication going on. I'm not a therapist. I don't pretend to be one. I don't claim to be anything like that. But when I'm talking with guys, in particular, and I'll say, well, when was the last time you talked to your wife about whatever the issue might be, right?
Yeah.
Almost inevitably, I hear, well, I haven't. And there's reasons they don't. And then I'll say, well, has she tried to talk to you? And they'll say, no, she really hasn't either. So there's a lot of different reasons why divorce happens. But I would say number one is lack of communication.
Okay. Thank you very much. Tony, you want to jump right in and let us know from your experience, because we know you're a relationship coach and you might have, seen these things firsthand. Can you just let us know why divorces happen in marriages?
I agree with Dan, lack of communication, but I'm also going to add misbehaviors. A whole lot of people misbehave in the relationship. And so when this misbehavior becomes the constant flow of that relationship, the other person gets tired. It's as simple as that. And because the other person is tired, that is where the communication comes in. Now, there are some people who have communicated over and over again, and there is no change in behavior. There is no change in that behavior. And so one person just gets tired and is like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. That is just how I say it.
Okay, thank you very much. Stanley, can you let us know your angle too, if you have anything else to add to that?
Well, that is actually correct. The fact that lack of communication. However, the precursor to that is the main factor, because before the man or the woman gets to the point where they draw the line and decide not to communicate between each other, there's also always a factor that leads to that, where that ball is dropped and it cascades into everything else that leads to divorce. So yes, lack of communication is a big factor in it.
Okay, thank you very much. Samsot, you have anything to add?
I think that I picked something from what Toyin said. He said misbehavior. Misbehavior can be derived from disrespect. Because when you don't respect the person, you start misbehaving. Yeah, as a result of disrespect, you continue to misbehave. The disrespect escalate. Because if you respect somebody, you will not misbehave. So that's why I pick from what she says, misbehavior. Yeah, if you disrespect one another, it leads to that.
Okay, so you think disrespect leads to divorce?
Divorce, yes.
Okay, all right. So now, why is it that these days, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but these days it's difficult for people to resolve situations in marriages? That's what I've observed or I've noticed. Do you guys agree? And if you agree that it's difficult for people to resolve misunderstandings in marriages and just go for divorce. Why do you think that is?
I'll jump in and
Go ahead.
say, I think some of it is completely unrealistic expectations.
Hmm.
And I would also add that it's not just marriages that we're seeing this, right? We're seeing this across society.
Yeah.
It's that people have lost the ability. Again, communication comes into play here, but people have lost the ability to kind of step back, take a breath, and say, all right, we've got a problem here. We need to talk it out. We need to address it. All of those things. We've become so polarized, and we've lost the ability even to sympathize with what the other person is thinking. And I think it's all kind of comes together, right? And that's what ultimately leads to, unrealistic expectations. Then you can't communicate about them. And then it goes from there. And it's not just marriage that happens with. I think it's happening everywhere with any type of quote unquote relationship in society.
And that's right, Dan. You took the word out of my mouth, and I'm going to add to that empathy. When in relationships, the ability for both partners not to read and understand each other's situation or mental or psychological status at the moment, and they begin to throw out achievements against the other, it leads a lot to that. I'll give an example. The husband and wife go out to work, and the wife had a bad day at work. The husband had a good day. He comes back home and he's spitting out all the great achievements he's had that day without considering how the wife is feeling and what her day looked like. It really creates that feeling of not wanting to understand how and what her date looked like. And that really leads into the point where they see each other as not caring. You don't understand. You don't even want to know how I feel or how my day went. And that, as it continues, it creates the building block that leads to these events that results to lack of communication, understanding, plus the factor of society pushing everybody to that threshold where we all are pressed to the wall and we seem not to care about anybody's feelings. So it's me, myself, and I kind of deal.
Me. Yep.
Hello, can you hear us?
Mex.
I think we lost Mex. Give him a minute. I think we're having technical difficulties right now.
I guess.
Right. Max, we can't hear you just in case.
Yep. While we're waiting, what else do we want to add to that? Because your points were very, very well.
Selfishness is a big factor there. We've all gotten to that state where we are so selfish. We really don't care about the next person. It's all about what we can get. And when we get it, it doesn't matter how we got it or whose toes were stepped on or what sacrifices were made for us to get what we achieved. We just move on and leave the other person behind.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're back. Yay.
You notice.
Of course, Dan will notice.
Dan is good.
I took over the host role briefly for you.
Yeah, you're good. You're good, Dan.
Thank you. When it happened, I told myself, I was like, Dan will do something.
Yeah.
Well, we waited a few seconds, and then I said, well, we got a lot of dead air. I better jump in.
Well, thank you very much for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining in. I hope you're enjoying yourself so far. So let's take some comments before we continue.
Yes.
We have this comment from Healthy Jessie Chop. She says, good evening, Daddy. Good evening, Minister Mex, and the great man of God in the house. I'm watching from Texas, Enugu State, right here from my hotel room. Welcome, Mrs. Toyin. Okay. She also says, exactly, Mrs. Toyin, when the bad side of a man keeps coming up, the woman gets tired. Okay.
Vice versa.
Yeah. She furthermore says, daddy respect comes in both ways. I think not just one side.
Mm.
She also said Minister Max and daddy left the chat to LOL. So she thought to run away.
Yeah.
Okay, so from what I'm hearing,
We are back.
she's thinking that she said respect comes from both sides, which I agree with,
Yes.
right? But at the same time, now we have to now look into, in a divorce, from history and from some people's experience, who do you think gets the worst side of a divorce? Who do you think gets it bad?
You want the best answer?
Please go ahead, Dan.
Children.
That's right.
Shed more light, please. Shed more light.
So I am a child of divorce, and I've also been through a couple divorces. So, and I've been involved in helping guys through their divorce for 20 whatever years now. I work with divorce attorneys. I've had them on my show. In the end, ultimately, no one wins. Everyone loses.
Exactly.
Do I think fathers tend to lose more? Yes, I do, than mothers, perhaps.
Yeah.
But ultimately, and I will always say this, it's the children who lose. You know, the paradigm that we have right now, at least in the United States and in other parts of the world, is they've made divorce adversarial. They've mirrored the justice system. So they want somebody to win, somebody to lose. And by they, I mean the people who pass the laws, the judges, the lawyers, right?
Yeah.
Not the participants. The family, the mom, the dad, the kids, they're irrelevant. What matters is that someone, quote unquote, wins, and who ultimately wins is the lawyers, because they get most of the family's wealth. Who ultimately loses is the children, because I'll give you an example. My first wife probably spent $300,000 paying lawyer fees. I was probably close to $100,000. I represented myself. Think about that for a second. We had 4 kids with each other. That's $400,000 that was taken away from our children. Right? That's just the money side. Forget that now. Set that aside. The children are losing access to one or the other parent for a good portion of time. You have the standard order, which is basically 85% to one parent, 15 to the other. Right? Every other weekend, and what I call the pizza date, one night a week for dinner. Right? That is the standard order. It's not a legal. It's not something that's in any law anywhere. It's just what judges decided. Actually, one judge came up with it back in the late 70s, and everybody started mirroring it. There's no scientific basis behind it. There's no psychological basis behind it. That's what this judge decided, and it became the norm. And everything since then has gone downhill. As far as you look at all the statistics for children, especially boys, by the way, but in particular children, they've all suffered more and more since then. So it's the system working against families, and ultimately everyone loses, but I say the children the most.
Wow, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Toyi, you want to add something to that?
Perfectly. And Dan has answered perfectly. The children, they're the ones who lose the most.
All right, perfect. So I have a guest we have a guest in the guest box. Let me just bring him up and introduce him. Hi, how you doing? Hello.
Hello.
Hi, let me see. How you doing?
I am fine. Good evening, everybody. Enjoying the show. Yeah, though I think it's still early days within the show. So really, it's quite an interesting topic. Talking about divorce, to hear who has the shorter end of the stick in divorce, and I do agree that it's the children that suffer the most in divorce, and it's a lose-lose situation on both sides. When the wife doesn't really win, the husband does not win. So you're both losers at the ending of the day. And listening to also the causes of divorce, Definitely. I think disrespect and unrealistic expectations, really fuel what, you know, gives reasons for divorce. But anyway, enjoying the program and looking forward to hear about the issues of men that go through. I think allegation, false allegation. So that's
Mhm.
really why
Yeah.
I'm listening I'm listening to this topic. Yeah, thank you
Right.
very much.
Nice. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
It's good
Thank
to
you.
have you.
Yeah, very, very definitely.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. So, all right, let's take some more comments before we now speed it up a little bit. Fred, we have Fred in the house.
Hey, Fred.
Fred Alera, welcome, welcome, welcome. And he says, the children suffer when divorce happens. Yes, we
Yes.
agree. Healthy Justice Shop says, accumulated unsolved problems lead to divorce. True.
True.
She furthermore says, the children and the women go through a lot when this happens, but how the women handle it makes a lot of sense because of the men, because the man picks up immediately without delay. I don't understand that really well. Mr. Eugene Opala is in the house. Welcome to the show. Happy
Welcome.
birthday. He says we're enjoying the discussion from. He's going to complete that. Nelson is in the house. He says I may not be a feminist, if I'll put it that way, but giving power to the other party make them see divorce as tools to fight male. Let's check out the Arab world of marriage. Divorce over there is limited. Huh.
That's a good one.
So do you think that because of the way divorce is being handled here, especially in the United States, do you think that encourages the high rate of divorce, or do we think it's just happening, just being it?
Can I say something? I think for me, I feel because like we are humans, and every human being, we understand that when there's a law that guides our ways, it makes us understand. It controls us, rather. Let's use the word control, because like if you have something that you know that if you do it, you're going to lose, you will be discouraged to do it. But if you have something in front of you and say, okay, if I do it, I'm going to make money out of it, it becomes like the reason why people will be encouraged to do it. So if we have some kind of limitations and some kind of way to stop this, balance it out, I'm sure it will either reduce it, because it's not going to stop it, definitely. It will either reduce it because it will make that person that wants to make profit out of it think, oh, if I do it, I might not get anything out of it. So let me just stay. So that's my take on that.
Okay.
I would actually agree with you on that. So all you got to do is look at what has triggered the divorce phenomenon, I'll call it, right?
Yeah.
Divorce has been around for a long time, but it used to be prior to roughly 1970 to 75. That's when, no fault divorce came in and all the laws started changing. But prior to that, divorce still existed. There are people out there that think that divorce didn't exist prior to that. It did. You had to have cause, things like abuse, things like adultery, those things, right? There was still, New York State was the last state to adopt no-fault divorce, and it was only about 13, 14 years ago, right? Prior to that, you had to have quote-unquote cause. Now, it could be something like irreconcilable differences, say that 3 times fast, but you had to have a reason to get divorced, if you will. No fault took that out. And no fault created this environment where one or the other party could just go, nah, I'm done. See ya. Right?
Exactly.
And some will speculate and say that was done deliberately to destroy the family unit. I think there's something to be said for that. I don't think that's it, the entire reason. Okay. But ultimately, that's what's happened. That's the more important question: is how did we get here and where are we at? What's happened is no-fault divorce has created this paradigm where marriage is disposable now. The marriage contract, for all intents and purposes, might as well not exist anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's a good thing. In fact, I think it's a very bad thing for society. But again, do we need to have some sort of checks and balances, if you will? Sure, I'm all in for that. I'm not a fan of no-fault divorce in the sense that one person shouldn't have the ability to just say, no, I'm done without a reason. Now,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay. Thank you very much. So, thank you for actually bringing up that point, no-fault divorce. Before we continue, let's take this comment from Ngozi. Ngozi says, in countries where the rights of individuals are upheld, you will see people exercising those rights. Yes, true. Shed more light to that. We would like to hear more from you, Ngozi.
I want to say something. We are not. It's not like we are against divorce completely, because there are some divorce that should happen.
Absolutely.
Hence the reason why Dan said there's something called a no-fault divorce. You don't need to have, nothing needs to happen before you can get divorced.
Yeah.
You know, and that, to me, that's the one that I'm actually against.
Yep, exactly.
Why?
You know?
Why though? Why?
Okay, perfect. Good question.
Because okay, sorry.
No, go ahead. That's why we have you. We have you to represent the women.
Yes.
So go ahead.
This is what I believe when it this is what I believe when it comes to marriage. If people have the right, personal right to choose their spouses,
Correct.
nobody forces them to say I do.
Correct.
Yes.
And so if they choose to say, okay, you know what, this marriage is no longer working for me, and it's not working for my mental space and emotional space, I think they have every right to also walk out of that relationship.
Correct.
Without being bound to it. So I know that a whole lot of people, take advantage as humans. We can take advantage of things, but that does not mean that should not be there for those people who truly need it. A lot of people want their marriages to be together, but they are not acting in ways that will keep their marriage together. And so you want to blame the person who decides to say, you know what, I'm done with this, and walks out of the marriage. You want that kind of a person to stay in that relationship and endure what, for real? What are we enduring?
I'll say this. Let me say this.
Hold on.
No, I'm with her. I'm with her on this.
You are with everybody.
Yes. No.
Everybody is talking.
No. I said yes to that,
yes,
because the reason why I said no. That's why I said that we are not against divorce.
Yes, we're not against divorce, but I said I'm against the no-fault pattern of divorce.
That's not what she's saying.
No, and that's not what she's saying.
Exactly.
But I'm saying I'm against the no-fault pattern of divorce, and I believe that's why Toyin came back and said, so you don't want people to divorce? Now, this is what I have to say to that, right? As long as you agreed, so let me rephrase. People have reasons why they do what they do.
Correct.
Right? People get married for different reasons. Some people get married because, oh my God, I had this butterfly in my tummy the moment I saw you. The moment I saw you, I just fell in love with you. And now I love you so much. Let's get married. Let's get hooked.
Yes,
and then they get married and then they get hooked. And then tomorrow, I don't love you anymore. I don't feel like I love you anymore. I don't think I love you anymore. Let's get divorced.
But do you think that's what Toyin is saying?
No, that's not what she
exactly.
Well, pretty much, Toyin spoke with an umbrella term. And this can be included in that umbrella term.
No, not
yes,
really.
It can.
Okay, let's ask her.
She's right here.
All right, go ahead.
Toyin is saying people should get divorced for whatever reason they want to get divorced for.
Let me ask you.
She said people will take advantage of it, yes, but still, it's still their right to get divorced for whatever reason, right? Am I wrong?
You are not wrong.
There you go.
You are not wrong, because we're talking about right here.
Yep.
And we're talking about personal choice. Marriage and relationship has always been personal choices.
Correct.
People decide whether they have the genuine reason to why they are in the relationship or not. A whole lot of people have been in a relationship because of unrealistic expectation, fantasies, ignorance, and all what you can name as many. But my point is, if they decided to be in that relationship, now they have every right to say they want to come out of it. That is my point.
You're talking of day. When you say day, You are using
Male or
two of
female
them,
now?
but you're
Male or
using two.
female?
If they decided to come together
Yeah.
to be in that relationship, they decided to come together to be in that relationship. Now they together have a right to get out of that. Together have a right to get out of that relationship. But what if it's now not they getting out of that relationship now, but one person wants to take advantage and get out of that relationship?
It takes another person's agreement for a relationship to stand. And it's going to take another person's disagreement for a relationship to fall apart.
Wait, you
So
said it
whether
takes another
they
person's
are in it
agreement? It takes another
together
person's.
or not.
You said it takes another
Disagreement.
person's agreement,
Disagreement.
and it takes another person's disagreement.
Yes.
Why can't it? Dan, please weigh in on this.
Why don't you go ahead and then I'll jump
Charlie,
in.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to say something in reference to what Tony is saying, that it's like a willful act. I can choose to do what I want, regardless of what the agreement is. The day I feel like the butterfly jumped off my belly, I could say, peace out, I'm gone. But you forget to know that you took a vow. Has the vow changed? Did you read the vow before you took it? Did it say the day that I don't feel like doing this, then I can opt out and go? You read the vow. You were not forced to say, yes, I do.
Don't talk anything.
You're right.
Don't talk anything. You know they agree with everything they hear.
We did the talk just like that.
You were not forced to say, I agree to these vows for better, for worse, richer or poorer, sickness or health. Better or worse could mean anything. It could be the day the butterfly decides to fly out of your belly. What if that butterfly decided to take a temporary leave, which has happened in many cases?
That's right.
I've seen and read about couples who 1 minute to say they are
And
done,
then get married again.
They come back.
and then 2-3 months, 2-3 years down the line, they're back again. Is that not very silly and being unreasonable to say, look, I'm entering into a contract with you and an agreement, and regardless of what happens, we'll stick it together. And I'm not saying divorce is not allowed. Of course, if life is threatened,
That is my only point there. That's my own.
Hallelujah, somebody.
That's the one.
But even before no fault divorce became a thing, that was already covered and allowed for, right?
Yeah.
If there was abuse, if there was adultery, all that stuff already existed.
Yeah.
What we're coming down to, I think, ultimately is how are we defining what marriage is? Because marriage is different than a relationship.
Yeah.
That's
To
right.
me,
Yes.
if you are married, you have made a commitment. You have effectively signed a contract.
Yep.
Exactly.
I'm not saying you shouldn't be able to get out of that contract. I'm saying it shouldn't be, forget it. And I'll give you an example. When you buy a house, do you sign a bunch of paperwork to pay for your mortgage?
Yep.
Can you suddenly say, I'm not going to pay anymore. I'm just going to leave the house
And
have
then
repercussions?
the house will be gone.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Right.
So as far as relationships go, in general, by all means, if one party wants to leave it, they should be allowed to. I think once you choose to get married, you've added another layer to it. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be able to get out of it. What I'm saying is you shouldn't make it so easy that
Correct.
they just go, I'm bored, which, by the way, is one of the biggest reasons people divorce now.
Yeah.
It's not adultery. It's not abuse. Those
I'm
are
not
not
just feeling it anymore.
I'm just, I can do better.
Yeah.
Right. And they walk away from it and they leave the other person. By the way, it goes both ways on that, right? Again, I don't advocate taking away divorce at all. I'm just simply saying, look, we can't make it so easy that you've essentially made marriage meaningless now. And that's why I tell guys, don't get married anymore. There's no one can name to me one benefit to a man to get married right now. There's not one. And that's the problem. I think that's a horrible situation.
Well,
But just live with her.
Tony wants to say something. Go ahead, Tony.
Well, apart from the children for the women, I don't think there is any benefit of the marriage to the woman. I don't think so either. Because with all the problems we have right now, with all the issues, marriage is not even doing the women any good anymore. It used to be very, very good for the woman before. But right now, I don't think it's anything spectacular because we have
So-
women who are working, we have
so-
women who are earning their own money. Do you understand what I mean?
Okay.
If
Please,
we
let her
say
finish,
because marriage does not benefit any gender, and so the gender should opt out, then we're talking about all the genders, both genders.
So
now,
let-
what I
let-
want to say quickly to what our other brother said concerning contract. Marriage is a contract because it's a vow. Have you forgotten that free will? The person who stood in front of the altar had the free will to take those vows.
Okay.
And if the person decides to take those vows back and said, I'm no longer interested in this, that person reserves that right.
Huh?
Irrespective of the
No,
person
no,
reserves
no,
the
no.
right as a human being.
No.
As
That
is
you're
my
redefining
point.
marriage.
But wait,
Wait,
let her
wait.
finish.
Wait.
As a human, if two people decide to go into a relationship and they wrote out their vows, who gave them the vow? Was it God or the ones they wrote down on paper?
Mhm.
Go ahead.
Who wrote down the vow? My question is, who wrote down the vow?
They wrote the
Me,
vow.
I'm talking about, I don't want to bring religion into this, because if we bring religion into this, then we will solidify it more with the word of God on why we should not divorce, right? But let's just leave religion out of this and let's just talk as humans right now.
Okay.
If I in particular decided to marry my husband and I made a vow and I said, okay, this is what we will do. This is what we will do. This is what I will do. This is what I will do. There are conditions, whether the conditions are stated or not. There are conditions. That was the reason I agreed. Am I still on?
Yeah, you're on.
Yeah,
No. We didn't cut you
That
off.
was the
No, we are
reason
here.
I agreed to be in that relationship.
Yes.
And if those conditions ain't meant for me, I have every right to leave that relationship. Now, what I am hearing is that people should not leave the relationship, even if they have the right to, because they have made a vow. So even if the relationship now is killing them, they should remain in it because they have made a vow. Is that what I'm hearing? Because
That's
I'm
what
No.
you're hearing, but
No.
that's not what we're saying.
No,
Okay,
that's
ladies
not
and
what
gentlemen,
we're saying.
calm down. Please.
I
Hold on,
think-
Stanley. Stanley, hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, this is getting heated up. We have not even gotten to debate, We have not. Please keep your comments coming. And don't forget to do what we always do, please. Don't forget to like where you're watching this from. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Do not forget to hit that notification tab. And lastly, don't forget to
Share.
It's okay, thank you. We don't have time for we don't have time. This is,
Everywhere they ought.
everybody hot. We don't have time for this.
Even you said they also your glasses.
Please, people, get your comments coming. I can see some comments. We're gonna go on a 30 seconds break, and then we'll take some comments, and then we'll jump back, going with Stanley, and then we continue with the topic. But please, I'm begging you, we are not asking you for money. Share this to 5 people. Share this to 5 people on your WhatsApp group, please.
And also click on the star button.
We don't care about the star button. Just
He doesn't care. I do.
he likes money. I don't. just share, okay? Your people might click on the star button.
Oh.
Let's go.
Hi, so glad you are here with us today in Chat Room with Mex. I am Kay and I hope you are having fun. Please subscribe, like, and lastly share. We need
Thank you very much for joining. So, now, as we're saying, comments. We're going to take comments now. I can see some wonderful comments coming in. Okay.
He's warming up.
Okay. Let's begin from Jacinta. So, divorce affects both men and women, but have the woman often experiencing more negative effects, both financially and emotionally. Anyway, it depends on the part of the country you're in.
Exactly.
Or the part of the world you're in. For many women, divorce can lead to financial instability, loss of social support, and decline in their mental health.
Can I
Well,
say
guys,
something to that?
go ahead, Dan.
Why would it be any different for men?
Good.
Mhm.
Enough said. Move on.
Exactly. So let's keep going. And moreover, there is a research that says that some of the richest women in the world today are divorcees.
Hmm.
Jacinta Fodamo says, Miss Tony, so why do they play with people's feelings just to decline along the way? If you know that you will not stay in there, then don't say I do.
Well,
let's keep going. Emeka, welcome to the house, Emeka. Emeka says, Toyi, are you married? Okay, that's a question. So let's keep going. The healthy Justice Chop says, exactly, Mrs. Toyi, nothing is so excited. Ngozi says, legacy is a good reason to get married. Legacy. Please shed more light on that legacy. Interesting. Let's keep going. Justice Chop says about marriage. Ngozi says, population is in decline due to people opting out of marriages and deciding not to have children. This is a good reason to get married. Having children is a good reason to get married.
But which country which world is declining?
No, some people, didn't you hear what Dan said? Men are no longer getting married.
But it doesn't mean that doesn't mean the population are declining.
Japan.
Exactly.
Japan is a country.
Japan is so desperate right now. They're
Japan is very desperate.
Pay men to get married.
Japan is it Japan or China that was stopping people from giving birth to multiple children?
China.
Yeah. Now Japan is paying men. Samsung, do you want to go to Japan?
I will consider it.
Okay. Let's Healthy Justice says that. Exactly, it says, who gave them the vows? It's matters of two grown adults. If two grown adults come together and still don't want to be together anymore. Ngozi says, if our parents did not show us what a good relationship looks like, we would not know what is bad.
That's right.
And then we will not even be here too.
Okay. You, Samsoft. Hold on, let me stop here and talk to Samsoft first. Samsoft, sir.
Yeah.
Your Honor.
What can I do for you?
Can you pick a side?
Listen.
Toyi will
I'm
talk.
on every
You say
side.
Yes. Toyi will talk. You say yes.
If
Toyi
it
will
makes
talk, you
sense,
say yes.
if it makes
Dan will
sense,
talk,
I will say
You
yes.
will say yes. Comment to talk.
But let me ask
say
you.
yes. Pick a side.
Everybody that
Listen after
hold on. Everybody that has been talking. Are they not making any sense?
In different ways.
Exactly. I'm picking
sense.
it.
Opposite sense.
No,
I say yes.
no.
Pick one.
I am on both sides that make sense.
Then you don't make sense.
You see, that's why you are trying to be in the side that you must not divorce or you must divorce.
No, you need to have a side.
I'm on both sides.
You are a bit too political for my
I'm on
life.
both sides.
I'm on both sides.
Yes.
Are you on God's side?
But yep.
Okay, let's take this one. Let's take this one. Mr. Eugene says divorce should be encouraged.
I think he means shouldn't.
Especially when children are involved in the relationship. I think there's a mistake in that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I disagree for the first time.
No, it must be a typo. Maybe she
Yeah.
It's a typo.
Probably
I'm sure he meant that divorce should not be encouraged.
Yeah.
Because I know him very well, Lou. I know him very well, Lou. And I know the kind of thing he can say.
All right.
No, my papa be that.
I know.
They are more valuable. They are more vulnerable to the consequences of divorce. They could suffer emotional and psychological trauma. So
I think it means
it should not be encouraged.
Not okay.
Yeah, especially when children are involved. So Jesse Chop says at Ngozi, a lot of people respect what they want to keep. Okay.
Right.
Now, Stanley, wanted to rebuttal on what Toyin was saying.
Yes. I was gonna say two things on two aspects that she mentioned. Tony. I think I believe what you're trying to define is a relationship, and I heard you use that word. That is allowed in a relationship. You have free will to opt in and out and get out when you want. If you don't feel like it anymore. What marriage is, again, a contract, and it's more binding than a relationship that you can walk.
Yeah,
and you can die there.
No, listen. Again, like I said the other time, if your life is in danger, and for every other conditions, even stated in the Bible from the days of Moses back, and Moses wrote these laws too, adultery and the rest of them. You have the free will to go.
That's right.
You know,
Exactly.
if you are saying that the day you feel, and there was the day you feel that the butterflies are out of your belly.
No.
And hold on. The day you feel that the butterflies are out of your belly, and you are not getting what you
This microphone.
want, you can walk out. And there was a word she used. She said, the right. If I feel like I have the right to walk out, rights at that point are hung outside when you talk about marriage. You are putting your single self aside to be joined with another half to make one. Again, it is an agreement you entered into. It's a serious contract. Today, we are diluting it. We have made it almost nothing. And the reason, like Dan said, when he brought the no-fault divorce that New York adopted, in the 70s, way back, when that crept in, it kind of just cascaded into what we have today, which is really bad. It watered down marriage. And more so since the financial aspect was put into it, which actually is meant to be a compensation for whoever party or whatever party the judgment is awarded to. So it's not like I'm in today, I don't feel like you look like you used to be when I saw you the first time. So I want to get out, or I don't feel it anymore, or your soup tastes a little bit too
salty
these days. So I want to get out. You know, the truth is this, and everybody should know this, and I'll end with this. Everybody should know this. No butterfly stays in your stomach throughout any relationship or marriage.
The butterfly die.
They jump out. You ought to know that before you get in. And if you know you are not able to stomach that, don't get in and waste anybody's time. Most especially the other guy that may have entered, or the other lady that may have entered into the relationship with the view that they are going to stick it on with you, regardless of what situations you guys deal with.
Okay, thank you very much, Stanley. Tony, do you want to respond to?
I agree with Stanley. I agree with Stanley very, very well. The thing is, and I'm still going to stand on that point, people still have the right, even in the marriage, to choose to leave. Now, should you leave just because you just woke up one morning and you're no longer feeling the butterfly? Now it's a different talk entirely.
Exactly.
And this is where our spirituality will come in. This is where your relationship with God will come in. This is where who you know in Christ, who you are in Christ will come in, not in the world, not as the world defines it, but as the word of God allows you to, permits you to. Do you understand? But that right is there. Whether you're going to exercise it by choosing to say, okay, you know what, I'm done with this because I cannot handle this anymore, or I will stay and endure and be patient and pray and see how it's going to go, it's another talk entirely. So I'm just saying that if people decided to get married, they can also decide to leave. That is just my own point that I was just trying to make.
All right, thank you. Let's take some comments and then we'll switch trajectory. Eugene says, sorry, what I meant is that divorce should not be encouraged. Thank you for observing.
Thank you.
Yes. Ngozi says, yes, sir. Okay, we have Ajibola Salami in the house. Been a while.
Yeah.
Great job, guys. I believe undue ego between couple contributes to divorce. Very true.
Sure.
Marriage is companionship with responsibilities. Both parties should swallow their pride and to make it work. Yes. Healthy Justice Church says marriage is an advanced relationship. No difference from both of them.
Yeah.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're enjoying the show so far.
Yes, sir. I'm enjoying it.
Thank you.
You're not welcome.
Okay. Emeka says, Tony, you still did not answer his question. He asked you a question.
This question. He's asking if I'm married.
Are you married?
Yes.
For 14 years. I've been married for 14 years.
Woo! A round of applause. Where our audience?
You have chased them away.
For waiting.
So
you not pay them, let me come.
Don't worry, they'll come back next week.
So you gotta ask me now. Wait, you gotta ask me if I'm married.
Okay, Dan, are you married?
I've been married for 32 years, just to 3 different women.
Mhm.
Yes, I am currently married.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Awesome.
So, okay, Jesse Job says, Emeka, do you want to marry her? LOL. No, I believe Emeka is asked. If you know Emeka very well, Emeka has been on this show for like years,
Yeah.
4 years. Emeka is asking this question because he's about to come
My
with
perspective.
Another question. Another question.
No, not a question. He's about to say something.
Okay, no, exactly. Not the
know,
question.
Emeka,
Yeah.
no. So now, ladies and gentlemen, now that we're at this particular juncture, okay, let's take some more comments. Your is clapping. Fejiro is in the house, everybody. She says, a round of applause for Mr. Stanley. Okay, everybody is loving Mr. Stanley today.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Okay. So as I was saying, right, now that we're here,
Yep.
let's talk about different ways that people initiate a divorce process. Because the latest one now that I see online is something as easy as the woman going to the police station and saying,
Cook up stories.
I don't feel, not even cooking up stories, I don't feel safe with him.
They don't normally go to the police station. Let me just
Okay, what do they do? Dan, go ahead.
All right. So what you're talking about is the silver bullet.
Yeah,
right?
the silver
So I know
bullet.
that's where you want to go with it. All right.
Mhm.
So they don't normally go to the police station. They go to a lawyer first.
Mm.
Okay. And they'll meet with a lawyer. And I'm going to be very blunt about this, if I may.
Please, may you.
A lot of times, I know, shocking, right?
Mhm.
It's not the woman's intention to use the silver bullet. She gets talked into it by the lawyer. And I've had many lawyers tell me this. So what the silver bullet is, for those that don't know, is you get what's known as a temporary restraining order. There's different terminologies for it, but it's basically an order against the opposing party, usually the spouse, that says, you know, you've been abusive or you've done something to make me feel scared, right? That has now been weaponized. It's a very it's a good thing that we should have, right, to protect people, but it's now been weaponized by primarily the attorneys. So there's only 5 words that need to be said to get it issued. I am afraid of him. That's it. No proof, no court appearance, right? The attorney for the woman usually will go in and go, well, Your Honor, she's afraid of him. It's rubber stamped on the spot 90-something% of the time. And then the man is removed from the house that way. And then that's what gives the advantage in the divorce, because once you do that, she's going to be given custody of the children because, well, if he could potentially hurt her, he's probably going to hurt the children too. So we got to protect the children, right? Then, well, if she's got the children, she's going to get child support right away. All right. And then ultimately he does get to defend himself. It can be weeks, months, years later. And then the courts will say, well, the kids have been with her for the last 6 months. We don't want to move them. So we're just going to go with what it is. That's what the silver bullet is in a nutshell. And I'm very simplifying it, by the way. Okay.
Wow.
But that's what's been used. Now, here's the thing that most people don't know. I've interviewed 3 different divorce attorneys on my podcast. I've spoken to dozens more. And I've said to them, how prevalent is this? The number is somewhere that I'm hearing between 50 and 70% of all divorces now have some sort of allegation in them. So it's been weaponized. It's something that needs to be in existence, right? You obviously want to protect someone if they're getting abused, but it's been weaponized, and it's been again, it goes back to what we talked about a little while ago. This does not help children. This hurts them.
That's right.
And it drives up acrimony in the divorce, which is then used to extract all the wealth of the family and transfer it to the attorneys. So I will step down now and let you guys talk. But I did want to.
Wow.
I have
Thank
a
you.
lot of expertise on this.
I know. We're actually going to continue with you very soon.
Yeah.
There's another question I want to ask you directly. So with this silver bullet now, Toy, do you think this is a bullet that a man can use and it will be also successful for him?
Do I think?
Yes.
I don't know if some men have used it and it has been successful. Dan, has some men, do we have men who have used such bullets?
Absolutely.
Yes.
There are men who have used it. It's few and far between, though, because normally, and I've been in courtrooms where this has happened, where the man has alleged abuse. You're also looking at one. Okay. And the judge went, no, you have no evidence, right? Again, the woman has to go, I am afraid of him, right? The man, I'll give you an example. When I was laid out with a golf club, knocked out, and the police showed up, we entered, and the police were going to arrest me. But my neighbor happened to hear the whole thing and came over and said, he didn't do anything. She did it. We entered that into evidence to try and get me a restraining order. The judge laughed, literally.
Wow.
All right. But to answer Trey's question, yes, there are men who have done it and been successful. I don't have numbers, but I can tell you it's very, very, very rare that they are successful.
Wow. So, Toy, for you, what do you think should be done in a family between the man and the wife, or the husband and the wife, before it gets to that particular situation or option? She's laughing.
I'm laughing because I don't even know where to start from.
Please.
Because we're talking about, first of all, don't even marry the wrong person. That's where we're going to start from here. Because once, as a man, and I'm talking about a man now, once a man marries the wrong woman, it's a big deal. It starts from there. Do you understand? And because we women, we have this thing where we want people to see us as the weaker sex. The society will see us as the weaker ones. So we can, some of them that do not have God can lie using that. You understand? Against the man. So where should this start from, Kai? It should start from the relationship. It should start from when you are courting. Have an agreement, have a talk, know who you are getting married to, know what you are getting yourself into. And unfortunately, even now, it's really, really tight because a whole lot of people pretend to be who they are not. And just like Dan is saying, telling the men, don't get married. As much as I am an advocate for marriage, right? I'm still going to say, look very well before you leave so that you don't marry the person that will lie on you. You know, that is it. Because where you have somebody that you are on the same page with, you have the same goal, and you share the same spiritual understanding, you guys can sit down and talk about your issues and resolve it right there. But if you have someone who is where there is no agreement, spiritual agreement, it translates into the physical, and where there is no physical agreement, and this person is diabolical, you understand, and thinks of themselves, not empathetic, they can do and undo.
You see, the reason.
But what do you do if you're already in the marriage and you see or notice that your marriage is veering toward divorce?
Like what should a guy do?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess that's the question Max asked. What do you do?
Yes. What do you do?
You go see an
What you
attorney.
think is pre-marriage?
Yeah. So I work with guys that are in this situation all the time, right? And I also work with guys who didn't take any action. They just hoped, right? They had their blinders on. In fact, one of them, I do a podcast that's released every Sunday. My podcast that was released today, I have a man named Ulysses Slaughter on, Ulysses Butch Slaughter, who he had a video go viral on TikTok where the police showed up to serve him the TRO.
How about this, Dan?
Out of nowhere.
Dan.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
before you, since you're bringing up Ulysses, which is very nice, our technician will cue in that video right now. So we watch the video and then you respond
Go ahead.
based on the video. So technician, please, can you quickly do that?
From my house now. Immediately. I don't know who Inquisitor 3 is. I've never
That's a
heard the
different
name
one.
until recently.
Okay, this is a different one, yeah.
Somebody
Okay.
who calls himself.
Okay, so we're gonna.
That's a good one also that we should talk about at some point.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about this one, but yeah, please go ahead, Dan. We'll
Yeah,
work on
so
the video.
Ulysses was on the podcast and he talked about how he got blindsided, right? The marriage was having issues to what we're talking about, right? To what Stanley was asking. And he knew they were having issues. And I'm not knocking him in any way, but he kind of had his blinders on. If I'm speaking for him here, right?
Mhm.
The advice I would give to someone in that position is if you trust your gut, if you think something it just doesn't feel right, maybe she's talking a little different. And that's what happened in Ulysses. She was talking about certain things. But if I always tell people, trust your gut, believe your gut. Go meet with an attorney is the first thing I would tell you as a guy. By the way, I would say the same thing to a woman, by the way. All right. But as a guy, we don't do that. Now, I'm not saying you should use the silver bullet. In fact, I despise anyone, male or female, that does, just for the record. All right. Yeah. But you damn well better be ready for it. And that's why I say go meet with an attorney and go, look, I'm not sure if we're headed for a divorce, but I'm concerned. What are my options? All I'm saying is do that. I'm not going to file for divorce unless you're ready to. But understand, because the thing that men don't get, and I'm not trying to knock them, but I'm going to knock them, okay, is they don't get the risk that they're under. Because if that silver bullet is used, their life is going to be destroyed. And I mean destroyed, because what happens is it's not just about what happens in the court for divorce, right? There are guys that have had arrest warrants issued. That arrest warrant becomes public, even if he's completely exonerated. And I had a guy on my podcast last May. The wife made an allegation that he was abusing her and the children in multiple ways, and I'll just leave it at that. Okay. It ultimately took months to go through the system, but ultimately he was not only completely exonerated, he wasn't even there when she claimed it happened. Completely exonerated, right? He still cannot get a job. If you Google him, the first thing that comes up is his arrest. Doesn't say he was exonerated. He carries a paper with him in his wallet because people know his name and will, vigilante justice, if you will. And he's like, no, I'm exonerated. And we're seeing that in some other cases. The big ones that you hear about are the celebrities. I don't care about them, right? I'm talking about the average guy. People do not understand how devastating this is, because if the silver bullet's used and you get an allegation, whether or not it's true, you're guilty, period. You could lose your job.
Wow.
Everybody knows about the Russell Brand one that happened about a month ago, right?
Yeah.
He had all his income pulled away from him. Now, I don't know if he's guilty or innocent, nor do you right now. We can make guesses, we can make suppositions, but no one knows. It's being investigated, but he's already been found guilty, right? He's lost that income. He'll never get it back. Now, he's a celebrity. To be honest with you, I don't care about him, all right? What I care about is the average Joe or, Jim or whomever that loses his job. Now he can't pay for a lawyer to defend him, and he just gets destroyed. Nobody hears about that, and it's used all the time. I can't tell you the number of guys I hear from every single week that are dealing with this.
I will also add this. If your wife now decides and says she wants to get a divorce, and she starts to make threats, she starts to make obvious threats, take those threats seriously.
Very serious.
Take them seriously. If she starts to say, you know what, I'm going to deal with you, I will show you, I will let everybody know that this is what, take it seriously and start gathering evidences.
Yeah.
Start gathering evidences. Once you're having conversations, we have be recording. If you have a brawl, like an argument, we have record it. Because I have seen where some women will hit themselves and say it is their spouses or their husbands that hit them. So I will advise the men to gather substantial evidences so that when the matter gets to court, you can also present that and say, okay, this is what she said, but this is my own evidence at the end of the day.
Nice.
That's a great point. Let me just kind of go off that for a second.
Yes.
If I may. There are some states where it's not legal to do that, right? Off the record, I'm not an attorney, so I'm going to say this, right? No attorney would say this because you can't, right? But off the record, I would still do it because
Seriously.
if you go to court, right? Yeah, you're going to get in trouble for, you know, if it's a two-party consent state to be filmed, you're going to get in trouble for filming. But you're going to get in a hell of a lot less trouble than potential. Well, he raped me and spent 30 years in jail. Right? Two-party recording generally is a misdemeanor, and you're going to get a fine. I would still do it. This is me. I'm not an attorney. I am not giving legal advice. All that. I'm just saying, I agree with you. Do it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're still holding on to that seat. I hope you're still holding on to it. Are you still sitting?
You know so.
Sitting. Sorry. Let's take some comments.
Yes, let's go. Let's go.
We have a lot of comments that, oh my God, geez, where am I going to start from? Oh, okay. Let's start from here. We have Kelechi in the house, everybody.
Welcome,
she says,
Kelechi.
Following. Ina is in the house. She said, Ina,
Hey, Ina.
I'm from Namibia. Okay. The divorce in Namibia, the divorce bill is under review and will be tabled soon in Parliament. This bill will allow couples to separate without the needs to prove wrongdoing on the part of the spouse. That is what
That's
we
no fault divorce.
yeah, no fault
Yeah.
divorce. Wow. How did Justice says, Megs, hope not what I'm thinking. I don't know what you're thinking. Ina
Not
says,
in your mind.
yeah, I'm not a herbalist. Ina says, or a prophet. Ina says, the new bill is designed to help spouses who are trapped in marriages to have an easier exit. That is an evil bill. Sorry, excuse me. If you're being abused, if there's a reason for you to get divorced, that's different.
Yeah.
But no reason at all. You just, and this is the thing, right? We create things like this with goodwill to help people.
But because people will always abuse
weaponize these things and take advantage of the system.
Unfortunately, we cannot take it out of the innocent ones too, you know. And we need it.
That we need it, exactly.
Yeah.
So Kelechi says, the court system allows the court system always wants to protect women and children because they are more vulnerable. Are you kidding me?
I always hear that because let me tell you, no one is more evil and devastating than a woman who wants to get a man. And I'm meaning that as a
woman scorned.
Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
Yes, sir.
And they are. I always say women are geniuses. Men have no. They don't hold a candle to the women.
I think Kelechi.
And I mean that as a compliment.
In terms of Africa. Maybe she's talking in terms of Africa.
Africa could be different. I have no idea.
Yeah. So, well, yeah. So let's keep going. Ngozi says, women enter into relationships for security, primarily. When a woman feels insecure in her marriage, she can use that, and it does not have to only be fear of bodily harm, but also emotional harm. Everybody, listen, even men are scared emotionally of women. I'm sorry. Men are more scared emotionally of women.
Like the stories, even just the way Dan is describing it, is very scary. It's even making me like scared because when you treat thinking of that, a woman thinking, suddenly wake up in the morning and just want to mess you up. She can do it.
Oh yeah, very well.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
Jacinta says, cannot fully blame the woman. A lot of women stay in abusive marriages because of financial dependence. which sometimes they bring up themselves by allowing to stay at home because a man suggests so. Well,
by the way, that I don't disagree with that statement.
Yeah.
But guess what? It applies the same exact way to men. It's no different.
True. Very true. So let's keep going. Kelechi says, Toyin, how do you identify the wrong person? How if the person pretends and later on in the marriage you discover his true character? This means they are not compatible and often result to divorce. Toyin?
Okay, let me answer that. Kelechi, let me tell you something. You cannot identify the wrong person if you yourself, you don't know whether you are wrong or right. So being able to identify the wrong in another person depends on your own personal values and principles. So if your personal values and principles aligns with the other person, you become compatible. If it does not align, it becomes you are not compatible. And if there is no alignment, then that person, realistically speaking, is wrong for you as a person.
Correct.
True.
In that relationship. That does not mean that that person is wrong for another person.
Exactly.
Because who is wrong for you might be compatible with another
person.
So at the end of the day, it starts with you. And I always say this for women because a whole lot of women, I hate when, and I'm going to say this, I hate when we call men dead fathers or something. Or, oh no, he's an irresponsible person. It started with you. That irresponsibility started with you.
Yep.
Because you're supposed to know that, okay, will this person be a responsible husband, be a responsible father at the end of the day? And that is why you need to take your time in relationship, talk about it, consider it, carry out due diligence.
Yeah.
Do you understand? To carry out due diligence before you say I do
exactly
to another person. So it is irresponsible of you to marry somebody that is irresponsible. And then you will blame that person for their irresponsibility when they have shown you from the get-go how irresponsible they are. So before you say somebody is wrong or right, ask yourself whether you are wrong or right for yourself, because even your mentality could be wrong or right for yourself at the end of the day.
Wow.
Let me throw this in just to back what she's saying.
Okay.
For those in the religious community, save yourself the trouble by saying God will change him.
Yep.
Very true.
You'll be going to the divorce court.
Miracle.
You jump that.
And I jump in here because I'm going to agree with her also.
Go ahead.
The issue and I'm going to speak from men because I don't work with women, okay? And I'm not a relationship coach. Men make the mistake of jumping in too quickly. The butterflies that Stanley talks about, right?
Yeah.
Butterflies. I've seen guys get married in weeks, and I'm talking 6 to 8 weeks. I always tell guys, you should not even consider getting into a quote-unquote long-term relationship. I'm not even talking marriage yet until you've been with her for at least a year.
That's right.
All right. Marriage, I would say minimum 18 to 24 months. And all the things that you mentioned, right? Get to know each other. Go through a cycle of a year because you don't know how she's going to be at the holidays.
That's
right.
You gotta wait.
Right? What if she decides, no, we're going to spend all the holidays with my family? You're never going to see your family. You may be fine with that, and that's okay. But if you're not, you're going to have a problem. Right? And again, this is if people just took their time and stopped rushing, I think that would go a long way for getting us where we're at.
That's right.
And for the guys, this is what I want to say, right? Because obviously, the guys, this case at Normas, it weighs more on the guy than the female folk. For the guys, once your girlfriend, you're dating a girl, and the girlfriend ever threatened to call police on you once. She threatens to call police on you. You are dating, no?
Yes.
And she threatens you with police just because you were arguing.
That is her personality.
Just because you were arguing. Please.
She's not going to change you.
Consider it. Miracle sometimes. This camera could go tire Jesus. So let's keep going with our comments. We have Dan Davy in the house. He says, yes. So Emeka says, great. So you will understand and may agree with me that someone just don't jump out of marriage like someone who went for hookup simply because it's her right to walk out of a marriage for selfish reasons or no reasons. People do weddings and not ready to do marriage. He furthermore says, let not fault act is a selfish and silver bullet law for selfish persons who callously use against your spouse. So that's what he says. Life with Ifeoma says, Africans shy away from therapy, but it works. The therapy in marriages too. If you're having issues, go for therapy. Ngozi says, because we love hard, and when it happens, we hurt. We love hard. When hurt, keep the same energy.
As in hot hard too.
Yeah, you love
So
hard.
they hungry hard.
You are angry very hard. Okay.
And they call the police very hard.
Quick. Healthy Jesse Chop says, husband and wife can have issues. My thought, because any woman who's wants to divorce will not even talk. Women move silently. When a woman is making a noise, she is not going anywhere. She's only warning you.
You
lie. No, she's right. She's right.
It's very, very
She's
right.
right.
Wait. Can I jump in?
100% correct. Yeah,
If she's warning you.
It's not
Dan, go
100%
ahead.
correct. You
Okay.
got. I'm going to
Dan,
disagree with you.
Dan,
right?
before you respond to her, let me tell you why I said to me she's 100% right. I'll tell you why. So this is it, right? I've seen situations where a woman who is married begins to think of divorce and begins to document everything that happens silently. No noise, no warning. But guess what? Recordings will be going on. Evidence will be piled up, but no warning.
So does that mean the one that is verbal has the plan?
There is a story that we used to hear in those days where it says, fear the person who don't say much. I'll let Dan say what he has to say.
So your point isn't wrong. Okay. There are women that will do it that way. But there also are divorce attorneys out there that like to use the silver bullet. And they coach the women to do the exact opposite. So they'll teach them, look, go sleep with him more often. Make him think he's okay. Right? They'll plan this out for 6-8 months ahead of time. Wow. It's all designed to set it up. This is not the majority, but it does happen. And those are the most ruthless, evil divorce attorneys there are. They'll say, make him comfortable. Make sure he's not aware of what you're doing. Be nice to him. Treat him well. Do whatever it is that he wants to, so he'll be happy, because they want to blindside him with that TRO. So again, there are ones that go silent. Absolutely there are, right?
Right.
There are those ones out there. I wouldn't even say it's the majority. It's probably, if you're going to throw a number at it, 25-30% of the time is from what I hear. They're just masters at it too, right?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, if you're not having a healthy sex life and all of a sudden out of nowhere she's interested all the time, it could be a good thing. But I'm telling guys, get your radar up, start opening your eyes, because she could be setting you up for a very hard fall, my friend.
Get your divorce on. Yeah.
And for ladies who do that, you find out that statistics has shown that those divorces, or this kind of divorces, end up to being very brutal.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because he was not aware that it was coming, but it came at a point where his guards were let down. And his response, or for most guys, their responses are very brutal and
violent. Yeah.
We've heard a lot. Yeah.
Go watch my podcast that went up today with Ulysses.
Yeah, definitely.
It's that exact situation. He talks about this was going on in a while before she actually went for the TRO, where she set him up, right? She talked about he talked about how she was like, well, we need to work on our marriage. We need to do this, the sex life up all of a sudden. 3 weeks after all of that, he got laid out basically and thrown out of his house. So it's not, I don't want to make it seem like it's every case. It's not.
Yeah.
It's usually driven by a divorce attorney that's just looking to extract as much wealth, because to Stanley's point, those become the most acrimonious divorces.
Yeah.
And they will do everything and anything they can to get every dollar out of that family. And then all of a sudden, everything settles.
Right.
All right. Let's just watch this real quick.
From my house now.
Immediately. All right, so here's the deal. She's serving a PFA against you.
What is that?
Protection from abuse.
I just can't believe that my wife is serving me with a protection for what?
For protection from abuse. This is for you. This is your copy. Yep.
What does that mean?
What's that?
A protection from abuse.
There was something going on between you two
Yes.
that she didn't like, all right? So she filed a protection from abuse order against you.
Do I have to
If you want-
leave?
You will, yeah.
I'm-
I'm just taking the time to sort of explain this to you, all right?
All right, all right.
Giving you that courtesy. All right, so if you want to open that up, that packet, sir.
Mm-hmm. I'm being evicted.
Notice that cop.
I've been accused of... I cannot believe I'm standing here in front of this house, accused of... I am leaving. Hey everybody, thank you for all of the well wishes. I appreciate all of the support. We are growing a movement. I got to give you a follow-up. For the many people who have asked me for an update, here's the update. Before I even went to court for the PFA, my wife's attorney sent me a letter. And the letter says, we are having a PFA hearing this Thursday morning. While we are confident that we can secure a final PFA after a hearing, we would be willing to consider withdrawing the PFA if you agree to stay away from the home through an order under the divorce docket rather than through a PFA.
Wow.
If you would be willing to do this, please let me know in advance of Thursday's hearing so that we can draft the appropriate documents. Otherwise, we will be asking for a full 3-year PFA, or protection from abuse, to be entered on Thursday.
Wow.
So if I stay away from the house, they will withdraw the protection from abuse. If there was abuse, you should not withdraw the protection from abuse. You should push it. But instead, what they're saying is stay away from the house, and we won't say that you abused her. I have daughters, and if someone abuses my daughters, I want them to be punished for that abuse. I'm not going to negotiate around that matter. I want them to be punished for that abuse. This is a tactic. This is a tactic to get an advantage in a divorce. What they've attempted to do is criminalize me and make it difficult for me to move on with my life, but to give her an advantage in moving on her life. This is unfair. So what I'm suggesting is that we pull together a conversation. Please go to my website on August the 13th.
All right.
So that is, in a nutshell, exactly how the silver bullet is used. And we go into it in detail on the show, much more than that's on that video.
Yeah.
But that is exactly what they do.
Can you please?
I don't want to forget what I want to see.
Please, I
understand.
Go
I don't want to forget what I want to. Do you know that our parents never experienced all this craziness? I was watching him. I'm feeling like, what is going on in the world? Because you were smiling from the day you met each other all of a sudden something came up, and now you are enemies that you want to kill each or destroy it. Because as a matter of fact, the life of that man is just terminated. It's messed up.
Yeah.
Because sometimes he has no criminal history record. All of a sudden, this one will make him look bad in the record, and he might never have problems looking for a job.
Yeah.
You know, and I said, how did we get to this point? And also, brothers, sisters, before you go into a relationship, don't let anybody force you. Don't let anybody put pressure on you. You have your peace of mind now. You don't want to lose it.
Yeah.
So take your time, find the right person. Like Dan said, you will see the flags, you see the red flags. You need the time for yourself. Don't let somebody say, "Oh, that guy is good for you," or "that woman is good for you," because they will not be there when you are in the court.
In fact, I just while the guy was talking, right, I was just imagining coming home to your family like it has always been, because there was no issue before you left.
Exactly.
And then you come home to police officers in front of your house.
And there's a point I want to make right there.
Please go ahead.
Okay, so if you watch that video, watch the police officers on there. By the way, and Ulysses says this when I interviewed him, police officers were exemplary in their attitude and treatment. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you watch that one cop, they don't want to be there. Right? They know it's
They know.
They know. And I've interviewed police officers, many of them. They hate this more than anything else about their job.
Yeah.
If they have to go serve these, they know they're not. I had a female police officer who that's her job basically, is to go serve these, right? Because she has to go on all of them because she protects the woman, so to speak.
Yeah.
She knows. She told me 90 to 95% of the time she knows there's been no abuse. Her numbers, not mine, right? So again, if you watch that clip, watch the police officer. The one guy's like looking around. He doesn't know what to do because he knows it's complete BS. But yet, in Ulysses' case, it got him out of the house.
Yeah.
So it worked.
My goodness.
All right, let's take some comments. Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? Sound soft? Sorry.
It's scary.
Scared. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Yeah, we got you.
I'm telling you.
Be
I'll
scared
tell you the
already.
opposite. Be scared.
Yeah, okay, be scared. Be
Thank
very,
you.
very scared, my brother.
Because when
It is scary.
you know why you should be scared. That makes you more careful.
Well, unfortunately, that's what it has gotten to. But let's take some comments before we continue. Ina says, in Namibia, women are scared of men because of the abuse, and the killing of women is very high in my country. That's very true. Lifestyle Clinic, hi. She says, hello, everyone. Healthy Jesse Chop says, I disagree with you, Mr. My guest, Dan.
It's got to be me, right?
Maybe it's me. No, it's not.
Dan. My name is not Dan.
I don't know your name, sir, but women are not demons. I think the men are silent abusers. That's her opinion. Okay.
Exactly.
Lifestyle Clinic is laughing. Hina says, Tony, do you really get to know the person? Is time the determining factor? I tend to disagree. Well, before I get to rebuttal on that, I will say time is very, very important. It's important to give it time because it's going to give you opportunities to see yellow flags before you even begin to see red flags.
Yeah.
So without time, you can't just
can't
feel and jump. No, you have to take time to study. Some people pretend. Yes, some people pretend. But guess what? Time also exposes
exactly.
them.
Give it enough time.
There must always be a mistake.
Yeah. Like I was telling my wife the other time. I was telling her, I was like, listen, I intentionally had to push some certain things your way so that I would
see your
reaction to things. And it helped.
Very important.
It helped. So Toy, you want to rebuttal on that, or you want us to
You've
keep
already
moving?
answered it. You've
All
already
right.
said what I wanted to say. Yeah.
Does the lady have a response to this video? The wife, so to say.
Dan.
Not that I'm aware of. As of when I interviewed Ulysses, which is about a month ago, their court case is pretty much settled. To my knowledge, there's nothing public that she's done as a rebuttal. But in the end, he basically was completely cleared.
Yeah.
So, we don't know her side of the story, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I believe Ulysses. If you watch the podcast, I've interviewed enough people. I know when people are BSing me or lying. I would say with him, it's
okay.
I vet people before I bring them on my show. I Google them. I start doing research. I go look for arrest warrants. I don't just bring people on my show, right? Everything I saw. If you go to his website, he fights for social rights. He fights for social justice, right? That doesn't mean he can't be a bad person in his marriage. I'm not saying that. But a person that's like that is not, someone that probably is going to get a PFA, as they call it, or a TRO, as I would call it. Certain signals. I 100% believe his story.
True. And Dan, so where can people get your show? Where can they get that podcast?
Yeah. Yes. So the podcast is on my YouTube channel, Men Need to Be Heard. You can also get it on Spotify. You can get it on Apple. I'm trying to remember them all. You can get it on Rumble now. I just started putting it on Rumble. I don't know why, because but I did. And it's on some other ones. Spotify. Somebody told me to put it on Rumble. I put it on Rumble. But the primary ones is YouTube and Spotify. And it's Men Need to Be Heard. There. So you can see it on the shirt.
Yep, that's a t-shirt.
That's a t-shirt. And it's on red.
Yeah.
I have a black one too, but yeah, I wore red today.
So this is Dan's YouTube page. Man,
there you go.
Heard? Yes, please and please.
Look at that handsome devil there.
I know. Please and please go watch that podcast and watch everything he has. It's very, very entertaining and educative.
And I really encourage people, forget what I have to say. Go listen to Ulysses for real. If you want a true understanding of what it's like for a man, listen to Ulysses. And if you want even more, I believe it was in May, I interviewed Ryan Kerrison over in the UK, who went to jail on a false allegation and was ultimately cleared. And then I had Jason, who was also same situation. Go listen to those and then tell me that false allegations aren't a big deal, which you'll often hear. Those three men they had their lives destroyed.
So what I want to say, right, is this. Ladies, the lawyers are going to make you say things. They're going to make you want to do things that are unethical, things that did not happen. Think about it this way. Do you want to ruin the man, the innocent? That's if your husband was innocent.
Correct.
Do you want to ruin his reputation, his career, his job prospect, everything, and make the children even feel worse about their father, all because you wanted to separate or get divorced? Think about it. Or get revenge.
But guess what? You're not going to win because the children need their father.
Sometimes
children will ultimately resent you because my mother did all this stuff. I stopped speaking to my mother. My mother did not become part of after I was about 16 years old, I got my mother out of my life. She never really got to know her grandchildren. She did the same thing to my sister, who was my stepsister, and her father. My sister disowned her also. My mother died alone. All because she wanted in those moments to quote unquote win. And in the end, she lost. But ultimately, I lost, my sister lost, and my children lost. They didn't get to know their grandmother. And that's what I say to women is this. If a lawyer is encouraging you to do this, and there is not a valid, argument for abuse, take a step back, forget about you, forget about him. Think about what it's going to do to your children, because I will tell you, as a child that went through this, you will destroy that child. You will destroy their life. Even though I'm in a great relationship now, I always live with this what if and this doubt and all this stuff.
It's
I-
traumatizing.
I am
This-
60 years old. This all happened literally 50 years ago, and yet it still affects me to this day.
Hmm.
So you see what Dan just said, right? We have to be careful. We have to watch it, because at the end of the day, the children will resent you. You think you're doing it just okay, let's take some comments, please. Kelechi says, Toim, it's easier said than done. In reference to your response to my comment, I am glad you mentioned in your comment that people can be pretentious. Yes. Jesse Chop says, Ms. Toim, what if when compatibility fails? Because sometimes from the beginning it looks they are compatible.
I agree with that, because I always say that compatibility, I mean, is always in stages. Because if you're compatible with someone now, in another 5 years, you will realize that you're no longer compatible depending on your growth. If that person, as you grow, you become less compatible with somebody that has chosen to remain the same. You understand? And so that is why majority of the time, I always say, do not rush into marriage. See, marriage is one thing you cannot rush into. I look at people who say, oh, they met somebody in 3 months and they got married. They met somebody in 6 months and they got married. I'm looking at you and I'm like, okay, we will come back to this talk later on, because you're putting the horse before the cat, or how they say,
The cat before the horse.
The cat before the horse, or whatever it is, right?
So the horse will
There
match.
are things that you really need to
Look,
take your time. Time unravels a whole lot of things. Time will unravel their goal eventually, unravel their temperaments. It will unravel their mentality. People cannot pretend for long. Even during the pretense, if you're very, very observant, you will see their true nature.
Yeah.
Even within the pretense. Do you understand? And so, if compatibility fails before marriage, that is a sign for you to move on. A sign for you to move on. But in the marriage, that is where you need therapists. That is where you need counselors. Do you understand? That is where you need your spiritual growth and other things to be able to handle the situation and the differences as much as possible.
Well, thank you very much.
Can I just make a quick point on what you
Go
just
ahead.
said?
Sorry,
Because-
Stan. Go ahead, Dan.
So just real quick point on what she said. People will fight paying a therapist a few $1,000s, but they have no problem handing an attorney $100,000.
True.
To get a divorce.
True.
Spend the $5,000 with a therapist, and then if it isn't going to work, then go get your divorce.
That's right.
But you might find you spend that $5,000 versus $100,000. Just saying.
And it works.
Yeah. Stanley, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, two things. And Dan just kind of spoke what I was going to say. Divorce is not easy. It's not cheap. When you are getting married or about to get married, and you have this thought in your mind that, well, if it's not working well for me, I'll just step out and file for a divorce. It's not cheap. It's not easy. It's very costly. And then somebody asked, how do you know? This is what I like to share with guys and ladies. Before you get to that point to open up to the beginning stages of a relationship, you know yourself better than anybody else. You can't be true to yourself and not lie to your own self.
Yep.
Take a pen and paper, write down your negotiables, your non-negotiables, and may be negotiated. Write them down. I cannot cook at home. I cannot watch the kids. I cannot do this, that, and this. I may be able to allow this slide. Or this one, yes, I can do away with it. Ask her or him for hers or his. Discuss it. If you find any that you disagree on, please don't even waste your time. Just if you want to give time to see if you can change. Don't do it.
That's
you would
right.
save yourself a lot of trouble.
Yep.
It's teaching time to say saves what?
9. This
Couldn't
time around,
agree
I saved
more.
like 50.
And lastly,
All right.
there's an adage.
All right. Thank
There's
you
an
very much,
adage-
Stanley.
There's an adage in my. I was going to end with this one. There's an adage in my part of town where I come from, back at home. They say that if you do not eat a piece of meat or a kind of meat, do not use your teeth to split it up for others to eat. Thank you.
It's a bit the adage.
I know why you're down before.
You be like saying Stanley from the adage.
No, you know
No,
from
no,
the
no, no,
place.
no. I would have, it makes sense when I see it in my language. If I speak
What
it in my
does that mean?
language,
Ah, yes, I-
More or less, what you don't eat, you don't give it to others.
don't even use your teeth to tear it because you will taste
Yeah.
it.
You will test it. That's what it means.
Oh, okay. So, from what everybody has
One
been
go
saying,
come, one go come, ma'am.
from what everybody has been saying, right? You will see that the solution, the solution to this problem, if you don't want
It's
to
prevention.
there you go. If you don't want any of those things to happen to you, you have to prevent it
Exactly.
by watching for. Listen, on TikTok, I tell people, right? I don't like looking for red flags, and I think people have looked for too many red flags. We should begin to look for yellow flags first.
Green.
Yeah, before it gets to red.
Red.
Because by the time it gets
Get to red, you don't
must
red.
have
oh.
seen so many things.
That time you don't red.
Yeah, so let's begin to look for yellow flags. So let's take some comments, guys. Thank you very much for staying with us this long. The show was just supposed to be 1 hour, but of course, when you have great people here like this,
Hey.
well, how can I point? All these great people,
See them.
forget it. You will go for 5 hours. Not that we're going for 5 hours. We'll wrap up very soon. But let's take some comments. So Jesse Chop says, I believe this is for Dan. She said, this white man, now African man, no. Dan,
Now you're from Nigeria. They say you're from Nigeria.
Yeah, we'll take Dan to Nigeria.
Yeah, we'll take him to Nigeria.
One of these days, you know.
I would love that.
Yeah, we need to go on tour, you know. Just,
yeah,
because
to have some conference and all
they
that
would
stuff.
learn a lot
to
from
make
Dan
it
too.
make sense.
Yeah. So Dan Davies says, I have a friend that even got married to a senior pastor, but she's now regretting it because the man's people doesn't like her from onset, and now the man is misbehaving after she put to bed. Okay, wow, see. So we gotta study. Ina Wilbard said, sorry, my comment is undone. Okay, that was the comment she made earlier on. Jesse Chop says, nothing just happens, sir. The man did something, no woman wakes up. She's referring to that video. Is he my problem? Nothing just happens, sir. The man did something. No woman wakes up and don't want to see her man or her woman anymore. You are very wrong.
I don't understand, man.
Can I say something?
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
From a woman's perspective, and I'm just going to say this to our brothers.
Well, listen.
Yeah. And now this is not, I'm not generalizing, but I'm just saying majority of the time. African women, for example, we are not wired to leave our marriages. And that is why there is just so many women in Africa, for example, who endure abusive relationships. Even if they have the financial wherewithal, means to leave, they will still prefer to stay in that marriage until maybe it gets to a point where, you know what, you just got to leave for your life. You understand? And we have so many emotional abusers, verbal abusers, and physical abusers also.
Correct.
But this is what I'm going to say to our brothers, right? Pay attention to the things your wives complain about. Because a whole lot of men some of them do not listen. See, a woman does not just wake up one morning and say, okay, you know what, I want to divorce. That divorce had been in the making from 2 years or 3 years ago. You people don't just know. It's not something that just happened in 1 month or in 6 months. No, it's something she had been thinking about. And she is paying attention to everything she had complained about. And she's expecting a changed behavior. Now, I'm not talking about those who are vindictive. There are some women who are revengeful, who believe that the way to get back at the man is because of something, on something they did, is for them to revenge and pull the man down. There are some women that are like that. There are some women who are vindictive, but there are some who genuinely want the marriage to work, and it's not working like they want, and so they are making plans to leave the relationship. Majority of the time, the men are not paying attention. They believe everything is fine, everything is okay, or we are good because we talked about it. No. The only time it becomes good for a woman to move on from that situation is when there is no repeat of behavior. But if there is a repeat of behavior, of the same behavior she has complained about, trust me, she's now thinking, okay, looks as if I made the wrong choice in this man. She might not say it. She will not talk about it yet. She will not even tell her friends yet. But in her mind, she's already checking out gradually. And before a woman checks out physically, she will first of all check out emotionally, then check out mentally, then check out physically. Do you understand? So I just want to say that to our brothers that just pay attention to the little complaints and make sure you guys talk about it, communicate about it, make sure it is resolved, and make sure there is a change to behavior in that relationship.
Can I make a comment on that?
Go ahead, Dan.
Take every word she just said and understand it applies to men as well.
Yes.
Every single word she said.
Yeah,
That's the problem. People will not understand and acknowledge that men feel exactly the same way and go through the exact same things.
Yeah.
I agree with her 100%. All I'm saying is it's the same for men. They need to be heard.
Yeah,
you.
look at it like that. They need to be heard.
Exactly.
They don't hear us. They never hear us.
Men to talk. That is it. Men
And you know
to
what?
talk.
We
That's
talk.
it.
When we talk, they don't even listen. Oh.
So when we talk, right? When we talk, women complain that men are nagging. Men are not supposed to nag. You're not supposed to complain. You're not supposed to. You're just supposed to take it. You're a man. But at the end of the day, we too, we have emotions. We have feelings.
True.
You understand? And the same process too goes with men. We eliminate things. We watch things, and then we wrap up our mind and say, okay, this has happened. This, and that's when you now notice that your husband has sold the house that you people were living in to somebody else, you know. And then the bank, the fine car your husband has, he no longer drives a Lamborghini anymore. He drives a Honda this time around. No offense to Hondas. Yeah, but so you have to listen. Communication and understanding is key. Communication and understanding. If you don't, then there will be trouble.
But you know one thing, not only communicate. After you communicate, you have to be attentive.
That's when you understand now. You have to
understand.
understand.
So the other word for that is listen a lot.
Listen, yeah.
Listen and acknowledge.
Yeah.
Then how you communicate. There is a difference between really talking and nagging. See, I always say if there is a serious issue, don't shout, don't talk, don't scream, don't get angry over that issue.
Because
when the time is right, sit your spouse down and say, you know, babes, I really have something I want to discuss with you. Then table it down. Oh, this is the situation. This is the situation on ground. How do we fix this? You cannot, if you are shouting, that person is not hearing you. Because at that particular point in time, they are going to match up that energy and shout back. And so you think you have communicated, but you have not communicated.
Even if she doesn't shout back, she will just be quiet and then not
or he.
Depending on
who is talking. Yeah.
And I'll add something to that. I agree with her 100%. But if you're at the point in your relationship where you can't even do that, write each other a letter.
Yeah, I know.
But it worked.
Yes.
If you write it out.
Yeah. Dan, how about this? She's sitting right there and you send her a text. Bloop.
No, not a text. No, not a text. A letter.
You mail it to the house.
Well,
let's give it to her on our way to work.
I know. So here you go.
She might think it's a letter of divorce.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us on this show. It's been fun. It's been fun. You know, you guys have been you've been wonderful. You've been great. Thank you very, very much for joining us. I believe we've done justice to this particular subject. But also at the same time, we want to encourage you, because I've gotten a lot of messages from women saying, oh, you guys always speak towards the men folk. There's nobody to represent us. Well, that's why we have a representative today.
Yes.
Who I believe has done justice
She did a
to
great
this
job.
topic.
Thank you.
Because I was expecting less, but I got more. In fact, if you notice,
I wasn't expecting less at all.
no,
I know
I was expecting Toyin to be like calm, but it got to a point where Toyin was giving everything. You know?
I loved it.
The conversation started as, "Are you married at all?" You know. Thank you very much, Toyin. Thank you very, very much, Dan. We appreciate you. Thank you for your time. We need to actually come back and talk about the effect of divorce on women and children. And it would be nice to have someone who as a child went through divorce. Dan is here. Dan would give us all his story. I know.
And Dan is still a child, right?
I know, right?
Dan.
You know, we'll talk about that, the effects of that, and let's hear people's personal stories, and brush that up. We're definitely done. We'll please you and Toyin. We want you guys to come back. I'll send you guys messages for the date. Stanley, now I will not thank you too much because we are one of us.
Exactly.
So there's no need to thank you too much. But yes, thank you very much, guys. We appreciate you. We have Ngozi says thank you, Toyin. Wow, Ngozi stayed to the end of the show. Wow, that's nice. She enjoyed it.
Good job.
Yes. You see women supporting women. She said thank you, Toyin. She didn't say some stuff, Max or Dan, or okay, no problem.
It's okay. Thank you.
Would you be open to throwing an invitation to anyone out there, women?
Yes, definitely. Please, I always say it. I always say it. As a woman, we have a topic. You want to jump in? We'll send you the link. We would, bring you up.
Yep.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice to. Yeah, the more the merrier. If we had another lady here with Toyin giving us back and forth, it would have been,
and
wonderful.
It was good to have what's his name?
Yeah, David. I'll bring David up. Yeah, very soon. Ina Willibard said, personally, I always say that it's easier said. I have seen people I'm dating for years and decide to get married, and yet after 6 months, the divorce. Please explain that.
They saw the handwriting on the wall already.
Exactly. They were ignoring it. That's why it was that 6 years.
They already knew.
6 months.
Yeah, they already knew. They
6 years.
already knew all the wrong behaviors, but they just decided to.
Exactly. Just let me manage it. That's what happened.
Got it.
I tell, if you will allow me, I tell you this very short story of one that lasted less than 24 hours.
Go ahead.
The guy and the lady got married in church, came out. Well, proud of that, when they go to church, they come in different cars.
Mm-hmm.
The lady came with a Jeep. Apparently, the guy doesn't have a car. So he was brought to his wedding.
Now.
He was brought to his wedding by his friend. And after the wedding, they were going to leave and drive off. And they got to the car. The lady, being that that's her car, she sat on the driver's, what do you call it? The well-guarded seat. How do you call it? Owner's seat.
Owner's corner, yeah.
Owner's corner. And the guy was like, okay, shift now, go the other side now. Let me be man. Let me go sit down here now, at least. Let me be the husband. And the woman said, no, now my car. You can't sit down for that.
Whoa.
And then I quarreled.
Right after the marriage.
Right after marriage, quarrel start. The guy turned around, walked right into the church and said, Pastor, yes, my marriage certificate.
I'm not marrying again.
And the woman drove off in the car.
Wow.
Yes.
See, so
she carried a car.
So yes, like
he trek.
Like
so
everybody.
it turned out to be that the guy is actually a control freak.
Yeah.
She knew that, but he didn't address it. So it popped up right after wedding.
Yeah.
And ended up. I don't know what happened, if they really got a divorce, but the story had it that the lady drove off in the car with the driver, and he was left alone at the church venue.
Okay, so someone said something and said, if you're about to get married to someone and you're hoping and praying that that person will change, don't even do it.
Don't do it.
That's right.
Don't do it.
That's the red flag right there.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a red flag. You went
Because you already don't like
you passed
that
the
thing.
yellow flag of all the things
Exactly.
you're supposed to see, and then now you're seeing the red one, and you will not say God is going
And
to
then you
change
want to pray.
Yeah,
Mhm.
please. Let's
That's
be
common within the religious circle.
Yes, yes. So Rachel Miller says in the house, she said, I divorced once. Rachel Miller also says, I'm here. Hi, Rachel Miller. We see you.
Hi, Richard.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been real. It's been wonderful. I believe we did justice to
We
this
did a
topic.
good job.
Yeah, thank you very much. Toyi, Stan, Dan, we appreciate you guys. You guys
You guys
made the
killed
show.
it.
Yeah, you didn't just kill it.
You killed it.
You sacrificed it.
You visualized it.
Yeah, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. You know, there was no bias on one side.
At
It was
all.
balanced. We really appreciate this. Please and please, if you're watching this, share the link after the show so your people can watch and learn too. Because hey, look at the kind of great people we bring to
I'm
you
telling you.
with educational
We
content.
have Dan, we
Come
have,
on. Come
you
on.
know, all
Yeah.
these great people.
So please make sure you share. Thank you very much. It's been nice. We shall see you next week. Peace out.